What's up, interweb? RhyQuinn here, and welcome to Meet the Coach interviews. These are obviously my side of things. You have probably already heard the one from Danza with Magnitude, but my name is RhyQuinn, and I'll be taking the 6 interviews for the new coaches in GBA Season 4, and it gives me great pleasure today to say I'm with the one, the only, Hank the Pidgey. How you doing, man?
Not too bad, not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, not bad at all, not bad at all. Hank the Pidgey, for those of you who don't know, is one of my greatest friends on YouTube. Cool guy, and he is the coach of the Winnipeg Aqua Jets in Season 4. And if you guys don't know what these Meet the Coach interviews are, they're basically just an opportunity to, well, meet the coaches, as the name suggests. Just an opportunity to get to know them a little better, and yeah, you can find out a little more info than you didn't know before. So basically, I'm just going to ask you some very basic questions just to start with. I'm going to start with possibly the most basic of all of them. How long have you been playing Pokemon?
I have been playing Pokemon since Red. I got it when I was 7 years old for Christmas with a lime green Game Boy Color. And I was hooked after that. I mean, I didn't actually get into competitive until 6th gen, which is kind of interesting that I played all that time without really delving deeper. But yeah, I've been playing Pokemon since I was a young kid, and I've always enjoyed it. And glad I finally did get into competitive, because now it's weird. It kind of tapered off a little bit in my life. When I was probably in my teenage years, I still bought all the new games, played every gen and everything, but I wasn't as passionate about it. And then once X and Y came out and they revamped breeding and everything like that, then I really just got super into it. And I found out, about YouTube and Twitch and all that kind of stuff. And then I really just fell in love with it all over again. So yeah, since Red.
That's awesome. And you already answered my next question, which was how long have you been competitive battling? So 6th gen, right?
Yeah, fairly short. I played a little bit, early 5th gen, I think it was. Basically, when Black and White came out in Japan, I was playing back in the Pokemon Online days before Showdown. And I just remember all the Black and White Pokemon were on there, but they didn't even have their English names yet. So I remember seeing Ferrothorn, and it was what the hell is this thing? It's so hard to kill. But yeah, I played a little bit then. I bred an EV train 2 teams in Black and White, but I mean, obviously breeding was impossible back then. So they only had I think they had 2 perfect IVs was the best I could do, and I trained them up. But that was just kind of a little bit of a phase, and then I kind of fell off of it, and then really started playing. Yeah, X and Y was basically started that all off. So yeah.
Fair enough. Well, obviously, you've been competitive battling, as you said, since 6th gen, but obviously the GBA is, very different to standard competitive play. Do you have, obviously, I already know the answer to a lot of these questions, but I'm going to ask them anyway. Do you have any experience with, a league format? Not necessarily GBA, but...
I do. I was in a league. It was called the PBL, the Primal Battle League, and it was very similar. There was, I think, 12 or 14 teams or something. I'm not sure how many teams. It was similar to the GBA in the amount of teams. Draft format was very similar. You do the whole drafting, you can change up your sets every week. It was basically a carbon copy of the GBA, just on a smaller scale, and it was a little bit less competitive. Just a lot more friends kind of playing and whatnot. And I ended up doing fairly well in it. I had a pretty similar team to what I have now. Some of the staples have remained, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I got some good experience. I think I really improved a lot as a player playing through that league, and I think it was probably for the best, because I did try and get into the D-League tournament, and looking back, the team I took to that tournament was awful, and it doesn't surprise me that I ended up losing. So I'm kind of glad I missed out on that, so it let me work on my skills a little bit more because I think that was a fairly long season, the PBL. I think it was a good 12 weeks as well, I think. So yeah, so it was pretty long, so I had quite a few battles, and I got some experience from that.
Yeah. And obviously people have been talking about your previous experience in the PBL, and even Megamog were going so far as to quote saying it's a hype train and things like that, and people saying, because of your previous record, which, by the way, if you didn't know, Hank went 12-0 in the PBL. He, was undefeated in the season, but some people are saying, the PBL isn't the GBA. As you said, it was very different, and people you said there was a lot more friends playing together. As a GBA, I think is a bit more competitive. So how do you think you're going to cope with like the different battlers, maybe more competitive style? Like,
See, the thing is with the PBL, it was like I said, it was less competitive. It was new for all of us. All of us playing in that league had never played in a format like this, including myself at the time. So what that means is, yeah, the competition was less, but I also wasn't. I feel I'm an improved player now. I feel like I will be able to take what I learned in the PBL and apply it at a higher level in the GBA. So I think in that regard, it is still going to help, even though yes, it was definitely not the same level. We were all new players, right? I mean, new in the sense of playing in the draft format, but I think it is still definitely applicable to the GBA, and hopefully, all the games I've played there have made me become a better player, like I feel I have, and I think it should help me out here. So
yep, that's
yeah.
fair. That's fair. And obviously in this season of the GBA, obviously this doesn't affect you because you weren't part of any of the previous seasons, but obviously this is a very different drafting style, and there's a lot more diversity in terms of the tiers of mons and stuff. Are you quite comfortable using lower tier mons? Like, do you use them a lot in normal competitive play?
I think this is actually better for me because I play every tier. Okay, not every tier. I play everything from NU to OU. I play all those, the four main tiers, and I'm actually like I play a lot of random battles. Like I play so much random battles that I know like I've used mons like I don't know, Finion and stuff like that, random stuff like that you just would never think of using, right?
Yeah.
So, with stuff like that, I think I will do okay. I also did play a lot of NU. Like there was a phase where I played no OU. Like I was just so burnt out on it, and I got so sick of it. And then when I knew the GBA was kind of approaching and whatnot, I started playing it a lot more because you do. It's just as obviously probably more important to still know the higher tiers because those are still going to be a lot of the bigger threats you're dealing with and stuff.
Yeah.
That said, I'm very comfortable. The two tiers I play the most are OU and NU. So the
Yeah.
two opposite ends of the spectrum. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think I think I'm fairly competent in all the tiers.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And we touched on it earlier, but we'll go into a little bit more detail now. Your draft, you had the fifth pick in the draft, I think. Is that right? Yeah. And you drafted some pretty interesting stuff, not gonna lie. And for those of you that don't know, it should be on the screen as well right now, but I'll just quickly run down the Winnipeg Aqua Jets, which is Infernape, Excadrill, Latias, Mega Pinsir, Amoonguss, Alamomola, Gardevoir, Mismagius, Tornadus Therian, Sharpedo, and Magneton. And how do you feel you did in your draft? Did you get stuff that you wanted to draft? Did you get sniped or anything like that?
I got sniped. Nothing major. Like, okay, I was thinking I would like to pick up Mega Altaria, but that said, I still knew I was picking Infernape first, so the chances of
Hmm.
Mega Altaria falling to me, I knew were low.
Yeah.
The upside of that too is like in this format, we can only take one Mega, so to me there was no reason to rush a Mega and pick it first round when there's only 12 teams and there's way more than 12 good Megas.
Yeah.
So I knew I was getting a good Mega regardless, so I didn't feel like the need to rush and pick one right off the start.
Hmm.
Whereas the BL tiers, the OUB, they're a lot more narrow, so you kind of need to get on those tiers a little more. But overall, I think I wanted the Regenerator core. I had my eye on it from the beginning. I've had my eye on Infernape and Excadrill from the beginning, so I knew once I got those, I was fairly happy just right there that I had gotten at least the core of what I wanted, and then I kind of just built around that based on what was left. You can't plan too in depth for a format like this because if you do and something gets taken, it can really screw you up. So you're better off, pick a couple mons that you kind of want to not base the team around, but can form kind of like your main core, and then you got to be flexible kind of with the rest. But overall, no, I'm really. I mean, I wouldn't have expected myself to draft Magneton, but I
Hmm.
really wanted. I didn't even really want Magnezone. It just there was one point where my OUB picks were just dwindling. I had wanted Gothitelle. I didn't think it was going to get picked, like because the OUB pool is fairly small, and I didn't think it was going to get picked. Everyone had already almost had their OUB already. Then
Yeah.
it got taken, and then the same thing happened with Magnezone.
Hmm.
So and then by that point, all I had left when I picked Tornadus Therian was Kingdra and Slowbro. So
Yeah.
luckily, Tornado Therian fits my team quite nicely. So I lucked out a little bit there. I'm not going to sit there and pretend that the whole time, oh, I'm waiting for Tornado Therian. I wasn't. It just kind of fell to me, and I lucked out that it was still a really good mon. So yeah, overall though, really happy. Wouldn't have expected to get Mega Pinsir. So that is something that I'm super stoked to use. It's
Yeah.
going to be lots of fun, I think, using Mega Pinsir all season. So
I, I
yeah,
I think that was one of the most surprising things for me was the fact that Mega Pinsir lasted until round 4, which is pretty crazy. When you look at like its history in the GBA and how well it's done, for it to drop till round 4 is pretty
for sure,
crazy.
for sure. And like I said with the megas, like yeah, there's like a lot of good megas, but then you get that tier of megas that are just like on the next level. I'm
Yeah.
talking things like Mega Altaria, Mega Venusaur, Mega Pinsir,
Yeah.
Mega Mawile when it wasn't banned, like
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like they're all good, but like yeah, you get some that are just on a different level from the other megas. And to
Definitely.
me, I think Mega Pinsir is one of those megas that it's on its own level. So
For sure. For sure.
yeah.
And I've got to say, I was pretty happy to see you draft Infernape and Escadrille. Two of my favourite mons, and of course, they're on the Nottingham Forest Curse, which is my PPL team. Shameless plug. Anyway, as I said, you are a new coach coming into this season, and obviously you're going to be battling against very skilled battlers with a lot more experience than you have. Some people obviously been here since like season 1. So what are your expectations for this season? What do you feel like you want to achieve?
Okay, what I want to achieve, obviously, I want to achieve. I want to get the championship.
Of course.
If I didn't want to, why would I be playing? That's what I
True.
want to do. What do I expect? I expect I will make playoffs.
Okay.
I am going to try my absolute best. I feel like I have the capability of getting there. I feel like I have the draft to get there, and I feel I can win. I'm not going to sit there and say I'm the favorite by any means to win, but I think it is feasible for me to win.
Yeah.
And if I make playoffs and I have a fairly good record, I know good is kind of relative, but let's just leave it at that. A fairly good record, I'll be fairly happy, I think, at the end of the season.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And I do think that's very reasonable for you to expect playoffs because yeah, I feel like you had one of the best drafts out of all 12, so I think that's pretty reasonable. In terms of everyone else in the league, obviously, as I said, there's a load of skilled battlers and friends of yours and things like that. Who are you most looking forward to playing this season?
I don't. Honestly, I'm looking forward to playing a lot of almost everyone. Like literally everyone. I'm stoked to play everyone. Some of the highlights, like obviously all the guys who are in the GBA, just in terms of like I was watching these guys for the past 2.5 seasons or whatever,
Yeah.
and now I'm gonna be playing them. So in that regard, like I'm really looking just from like I'm still a fan of the GBA, even though I'm playing it, I'm still a fan of it. Like I can't get enough of the GBA, right? So I'm super stoked to be playing them. At the same time, I'm really pumped to like play some of the new coaches and prove myself as you know I want to be one of the best new coaches if I can do that. And like guys like Gio, like me and Gio, we played. We've only had one battle before, but it was a really good battle, and I know he's a great player. So really looking forward to him. Nips had a really good draft, so looking forward to that. I mean, everyone, Mulvone, Old Man Tup, Crimson, all of them. I'm looking forward to playing everyone. I would say though, obviously, just from a fan's perspective, I'm excited to play the returning coaches. So
Yeah. Who do you think you're going to have like the best match against? If you look at like everyone else's drafts into account, and who do you think like I don't know maybe is the most challenging for you in terms of like your draft compared to theirs?
who will I have the hardest time
Yeah,
beating?
I
Do I
think
think?
so. Yeah.
I would say I feel like everyone's answer is going to be John. John drafted spectacularly. There's no way around it. He drafted really well. And it's going to be a tough match. It's going to be a tough match.
Yeah.
Cooper and Miguel are two others that have done fairly well. Cooper, in what was season 3 did really, really well. So, and he has a very Cooper team, so he's going to be a tough one. And then Miguel is just Miguel, and it's going to be a tough battle. But a lot of people were giving me flack because I have a lot of Miguel esque Pokemon on my team. I basically have like a fusion of like his D League and his Season 3 team.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, I mean, someone who almost went undefeated in the D League, I'm okay with people comparing my draft to that. I don't have a problem with that.
Exactly.
So, yeah, Miguel will be a tough one for sure,
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to all of them.
Yeah.
Facing all three of those guys.
Of course. And obviously, aside from yourself, who do you think some people are to look out for this season? Maybe some like dark horses, people that are underestimating, or just someone that you think is going to do really well?
I think Tup is right now. I think Old Man Tup is the most underrated. People are just not giving him the credit I feel he deserves. I feel like he has a fairly good draft, and he's been playing for a while. So I think people just are sleeping on him a little bit. I think Gio is another one who people are sleeping on a bit.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of had a rocky start to his draft, but I feel he really corrected it well. I know he was one of the ones that he had kind of a set idea of what he wanted with his draft, and it ended up kind of not going the way he thought it would, so he had to adapt. And I think he did a really good job of doing that. I think those two are two that people are sleeping on a little bit. So
yeah, that's cool. That's fair enough. That's going to wrap up like the standard questions. But we're just going to do a little fun thing at the end, just because I like to be different. Because why not? We're actually going to do like a little fun lightning round, if you want to call it that. And all I'm going to do is like give you two options. They're going to be both Pokemon related stuff, and you just say your instinct answer the first thing that comes to your head. So, for
Sounds
example,
good.
I'd say something like Mac Bike or Acro Bike, and you'd say
Mach Bike.
nice. See, I think that's two. Fourth wall. I'm not recording this first, but whatever. Anyway, you guys go. It's just going to be like, I don't know, 10, 11 of them, something like that. And we'll just go through them quickly. You ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right, then. Trick Room or Tailwind?
Tailwind.
Bounce or Dig?
Dig.
Alakazam or Gengar?
Gengar.
Rhyperior or Gigalith?
Rhyperior.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Red or Blue?
Red all day.
Swift Swim or Chlorophyll?
Swift Swim.
Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire?
Omega Ruby.
Latios or Latias?
Latias.
Kanto or Johto?
Kanto.
And the most important question you will ever get asked, RhyQuinn or Danza?
Ooh, RhyQuinn all day.
Thank you very much.
You trained me well. You trained me well.
Yeah. I didn't prep him. Honestly, I didn't bribe him or anything. That is pretty much going to wrap up the Meet the Coach interview. Thank you very much, Hank, for coming on.
Dude, thank you very much for having me. Had a good time.
No problem. Links will be in the description for Hank the Pidgey. Make sure to go check him out. And if you are supporting the Winnipeg Aqua Jets this season, leave a comment down below. And stay tuned on the GBA channel. We've got a lot more Meet the Coach interviews coming up very soon indeed. So we'll see you guys in the next video. Toodaloo.